Good morning. This is a video presentation submission to the Media Meet 2020 organized by Christ Bangalore for the paper MM 249 titled The Act of Rebellion Understanding the Relationship Between Media and Movements by Shirin Kumar from St. Xavier's College, Mumbai. This paper aims to understand the relationship between media and movements, specifically how the media has set the agenda for the environmental movement in India. Through secondary analysis of landmark research on the agenda setting theory and social movements, and a small questionnaire to relate it with the current scenario, this paper will analyze the role of different media platforms and coverage and suggest the possible factors which affect the success of social movements. The agenda setting theory of mass media describes how the media influences the importance placed on certain issues in the public agenda. The first traces of this concept can be found in Walter Lippmann's book, Public Opinion. Bernard Cohen built up upon these ideas, and he stated that the press may not be successful much of the time in telling people what to think, but it is stunningly successful in telling its readers what to think about. Influenced by this work, in 1972, Maxwell McCombs and Donald Shaw conducted the most landmark study on agenda setting theory and established a high level of correlation between key agendas on the news and the issues that undecided voters give importance to. First level agenda setting is affected by the amount of coverage given to issues and takes place through accessibility, through which viewers give importance to the issues that they can recall the most easily. Second level agenda setting examines the relative salience of attributes or the characteristics of the subjects in the news. Framing describes the framework that the audience uses to interpret issues and form impressions about them. Then comes third level agenda setting. This establishes that the public relates to issues in a pattern of network thinking. This is called network agenda setting. People tend to map the world around them by orienting and familiarizing themselves with it. We then create a satisfying view of the world for ourselves by merging our personal values with the prevailing media agendas in a process which is known as agenda melding. The social movement theory examines the changing face of social movements, especially since the 1960s with the counterculture and the civil rights movement in the US. Political process describes the kind of politically conducive environment that must exist and allowing the public the space for dissent and the access to political power so that social movements can emerge and exist in society. Resource mobilization, as the name suggests, focuses on the resources that social movements require in terms of money, moral support, strategy, manpower, and cultural know-how. The goals of the new social movements that exist now have changed from economic well-being in the industrialist period to their focus on human rights. Media coverage thus emerges as a response to these social movements, which disrupt the public agenda. The environmental movement is one of the most prominent and influential movements to have emerged in the new social movements of the 1960s. In India as well, environmentalism emerged in the 60s and 70s. So according to Anthony Downs, there are these basic stages that environmental movements and even social movements in general tend to go through. The first one is the pre-problem stage, where a situation which is harmful exists, but there's not much attention given to it. Second comes the alarm, discovery, and euphoric enthusiasm stage. Here, a dramatic event happens, which then garners public support and attention. Then comes the realization of the cost of significant progress stage. Here, public support starts to weaken. Fourth comes the gradual decline in the intense public interest stage. Now the people have recognized the costs and they have become bored with the issue. So media attention and public interest begins to fade. The post-problem stage. The issue is now broken off into new problems and there's not much significant improvement in the original problem. Let us now focus on the environmental movement in India. A very important feature of this is its focus on localized action and the livelihood of people. This can be seen in the few initial landmark environmental movements. The Chipko movement started in the 1970s in Uttarakhand as a response against the decision of the forest department to allow the felling of trees by a private company. The protesters, which notably involved women, hugged the trees to prevent their felling. It was non-violent and localized, and it also benefited from the simplicity and the charisma of leaders and activists like Sundarlal Bahuguna. All these factors and their innovative methods that they used, it contributed in getting the Chipko movement the media attention it deserved. The Narmada Bachao Andolan emerged as a response against the displacement of people due to the construction of a dam on River Narmada. Under the leadership of activists such as Medha Patkar, this movement thrived. It attracted coverage due to its association with eminent activists, but most importantly, this movement also got international attention, which led to the World Bank even withdrawing its funding for this project. Coming to the infamous Bhopal gas tragedy, in which 40 tons of methyl isocyanate gas was leaked by the Union Carbide Corporation plant in 1984. Unfortunately, Indian media at the time was dominated by news regarding the 1984 Sikh riots following Indira Gandhi's assassination. It failed to give this event its due coverage. Contrary to the Hindi media and the vernacular press at the time, the English media narrative went soft on the corporation and portrayed this whole incident as an accident and the UCC as well-meaning. This ended up creating an environment in which public action could be muzzled, and thus the outrage around this event unfortunately did not turn into a mass movement. These landmark movements that we just discussed in Indian environmentalism set the stage for further collective actions, with issues like climate change and pollution being brought into the limelight. These new social movements, especially in today's digital age, are largely led by students and the youth. Fridays for Future was founded by Greta Thunberg when she skipped school to protest against the inaction on climate change outside the Swedish parliament. She quickly then became a well-recognized face for the global movement against climate change in action. And in India, student-led activism around this issue can be seen not only in the form of protests, but also largely on social media. Then comes the Extinction Rebellion, which was originally founded in May 2018 in the UK by Roger Hallam and Gail Bradbrook from the group Rising Up. It's a movement that is non-violent and extremely organized, and it warns the world of its sixth mass extinction event due to climate change. In India, the movement is in its early phases, but there are many instances of collective activism. Bringing the focus back now to homegrown movements such as Save RA and Let India Breathe, there is also now a considerable amount of resistance towards the EIA 2020, a controversial environmental law which essentially allows major developmental projects to happen without a thorough environmental impact assessment. The majorly student-led resistance against this has been entirely online due to the pandemic, and the government has tried to silence this as well in many ways, most notably by blocking activist pages such as Let India Breathe. The responses from the small survey that was conducted and secondary analysis of current trends, they give us a picture of what agenda setting is like now. There is evidence of agenda setting within the media, as different forms of media such as news and digital media influence each other in terms of which issues are given the most importance. The respondents also largely recalled political or hard news such as the Indochina aggression, which shows how accessibility works. It's also important to note that just because the issues gained a lot of traction on social media, without mainstream media attention and policy changes, as is evidenced in network agenda setting, major change does not really happen. It was also seen that people's own personal values played a very important role in their perception of environmental issues in India. This depicts agenda melding, where a social commitment to the issues is just as important as media exposure and how that affects people's perceptions. We shall now analyze the role of different kinds of media that exist today in influencing social movements. Originally, the Hindi print media and the vernacular press was extremely instrumental in giving coverage to these issues. Environmental correspondents who used to invest time, energy, and money in such issues don't really exist now. Today, papers such as the Times of India and the others mentioned fail to give due coverage to environmental issues, or rather continued coverage, which will actually shift the public agenda. They are often instead seen sensationalizing protests rather than reporting on the actual issues, such as in the farmers' Kal protests of 2017. Especially with the pandemic now pushing everything online, this kind of activism has gained even more importance. Many student and youth-led activist pages exist today, and they use social media to organize in large numbers and gather public support. Its effectiveness, however, is doubtful because sometimes global issues end up dominating this forum, and also fake news and misinformation can be encouraged because now everybody has access to social media and digital media, and this could actually end up skewing the public agenda even further. However, as it was seen in the survey as well, those who are committed to these issues, they end up finding relevant information online for themselves. Independent media. As an alternative to the mainstream media, this kind of media is relatively free of corporate or political ties, which then allows them to give an objective and more explanatory view of issues which are sometimes ignored in the mainstream. Independent journalists also take to social media to further this cause. Pages such as The Wire and the others mentioned here were recalled the most by the respondents as well. Coming to structures of power. Indian environmentalism is largely localized due to its close ties to livelihood and human rights, and this is facilitated by common but differentiated responsibilities approach, which allows India certain leeway in global emissions reduction. This is where the global north versus the global south debate comes in. Unfortunately, this has also led to a decrease in urgency over environmental issues in India. The media and political agenda became pro industry over the years with globalization and capitalism, and huge corporations, with governments also being complicit, began to deflect environmental responsibility onto the common public. The media also exhibits a certain amount of selection bias due to their corporate and political ties, which is especially the case with mainstream media, which then leads to poor media coverage for these issues. And especially for soft issues like environmentalism, they have to compete with breaking news for media attention. Coming to leadership, a largely leaderless form of resistance exists today, but there are still certain pioneers of change which become the face of movements, especially somebody like Greta Thunberg, who has been discussed before. One extremely important observation that was made was the importance of civil disobedience and non-violence in movements, something which has also been evident in many Indian movements as well, especially Indian environmentalism, such as the Chipko movement. The founders of the Extinction Rebellion developed the perfect protest model and said that the odds of success of a peaceful movement versus a violent one is 53% versus 25%. This paper established a strong relationship between media and movements and found that media coverage, power structures, and non-violence contribute significantly to the success of a social movement. Agenda setting is definitely relevant today, and agenda melding seems to be fundamental. So, further research on these topics can include intersectionality in issues across movements today and the growing importance of agenda melding in an age of new media, which is accessible to everyone. This was paper MM 249 by Shirin Kumar. Thank you.